The game I am about to show you right now is so disturbing you wish you had a lobotomy. We're no stranger to disturbing games on this channel, as we've already talked about Fear and Hunger and mouthwashing of all games. But I'd rather play Russian roulette with a demon than to have to witness the ending of this game again. It's a brand new game by Mike Klubnika, the developer of none other than Buckshot Roulette. His iconic art style and his ability to make you feel absolute dread and despair were put on full display here. This might also be one of the most unique horror games yet. Let me explain the premise. So basically you have the code. Okay, I'll just read the Steam description. A short psychological horror game where you attempt to gain root access into an unethical superstructure. Why we're starting out with the newest game is because it puts a whole another perspective into the world of Mike Klubnika's games. You might have already seen the pyrocynical vid is made on it, but since S.p.l.i.t came out like a week ago, we can already say that vid is not up to date. S.p.l.i.t is once again another one of Mike's short horror games that seemingly takes place in the same universe as the titles in his Unsorted Horror collection. The game starts out warning you that you won't be able to use your mouse, and that's okay as it flows pretty well without it. All you must do is code and try to break into a stolen field kit from a facility that tracks and hunts you down in mere seconds if you pull the wrong move. There's two people helping you out on this journey, and that's Victor and Sarah, but more about them later. Well, it sounds simple enough. Just remember, if they do catch you, you must, and I repeat, must destroy your...
Warning. This game contains content about self-harm. Flashing lights and driving colors may cause eye strain or seizures in certain players. You have been warned.
The main menu screen of S.p.l.i.t is straightforward. A start button, continue button, options or lack thereof, and Discord. This is a theme with all of his games. Also, not even like you need any more options. These games are very computer friendly, so it's not like you need anything else other than the start button. The game starts out with us logging into a computer with username Axel0948. By pressing my keyboard, I started filling out the password. I came up with bootycheeks7. And who would have guessed? It worked! After logging in, we're introduced to a very old Discord server by the name of HKIRC24. In the server there is Sarah, Victor and me, Axel. Victor was AFK at this time, but Sarah was already texting me to let her know as soon as I get some case. Once again, by pressing your keyboard randomly, you fill out the text messages your character, Axel, is going to send. She answers, and we ask her if it's the same one as in the photographs.
What they used to have in the engine.
Axel shows displeasure with the fact that they are not working with the latest model as he wanted. The second he finds out it's not going as planned, he wants to back out. But Sarah tells him straight up, it's too late. And that she's surprised, he's even scared of death. Axel explains that it isn't death that scares him, it's being dragged into the facility that does. Sarah assures him that it's all mainly the same and that he shouldn't be worried. Right after, Victor comes online as well. Sarah asks him how long it took them to crack a newer model, and Axel answers 10 minutes. This isn't their first rodeo after all. Victor explains what this case that we received is. An LK912 field kit. Victor mentioned that we already tried spoofing the handshake on one of the newer kits, but they patched it. This game does use a lot of computer terms that I myself wasn't familiar with, and I'm going to assume you're not either. I did a bit of research on them throughout the video, like spoof the handshake. I'll explain in parts. A handshake is a computer term which means to establish a connection between two systems. Some straightforward examples are something like connecting to a Wi-Fi. Then spoofing means to falsify your identity or data to trick another system, like faking an IP. So what spoof a handshake means is faking the initial handshake to impersonate a trusted IP. Our purpose of doing this isn't known just yet, but just so you understand the terms before we move forward. Victor warns us that once it connects to the server and that beacon goes off, we'll have around 15 minutes. He does assure us that if we manage to pull the local files from it beforehand, there's nothing to worry about. He successfully convinced xTaddei to partake in this illegal activity. I guess we're in. Sarah asks us about our way out. They have theirs. But do we have one? I stare at the screen for an entire 30 seconds before answering. I have a way out. The camera slowly pans out, showing a noose hanging from the ceiling before cutting to black. Oh, so that's what they meant, a way out. Not like a hidden tunnel or an escape route, but a literal way out of this world. Sarah explains the process of what we're going to be doing. Boot up the kit and send her the LFS ID from the field kit's files. The local files shouldn't be protected. Connect to it and copy them.
Hold on to distance yourself.
By holding Alt, you zoom out of your screen. On the right you have the aforementioned case, the field kit. After letting go of Alt, it zoomed in onto the briefcase and xTaddei turned towards it. The time slowed down. Your mind is at ease. Key thoughts are represented visually in the environment. Acknowledge them at any time by typing. Thoughts of xTaddei popping up on screen. All you must do is type it out on your keyboard. This game really might be a slow typer's worst nightmare.
Unknown hardware, undesirable outcome, steady now, let mechanism.
We've opened it. There are multiple cables inside, tied together with zip ties. A red light flashing through multiple openings and something that looks like an engine running alongside it. We're now able to access our second monitor where the command prompt was running. Here is where the majority of the game is played. It works exactly like an IRL computer command prompt does. By typing help into the console, we'll get a list of all the commands that we will be working with. Print, help, ls, cd, open, nano, clear, probe and connect. And their explanation next to them. Now, since I've never ever tried doing anything with a command prompt in my life, this was hard for me to get a hang of at first. It took me 10 minutes before I even started doing anything that I was supposed to be doing. The first instruction was to try and connect to the kit. By reading the commands, I noticed probe searches for local devices. So I wrote it into the command prompt and a list of devices showed up. There's a mobile phone, an audio system, a portable radio, and finally, the field kit. Name, LK912, machine number 3833. Now, by looking at the commands, typing out connect and the machine number of the field kit, we successfully establish a connection. There are 5 different commands. Number 3 didn't work. Number 4, 1 and 2 didn't work either. I guess it's not going to be as easy as that. I tried using the nano command, which allows me to edit files, but I didn't yet know how to use it. I tried writing out the entire directory, didn't work. As a final attempt, I did the unthinkable. After my command prompt became one huge mess, I cleared it all up and went from the start. Probe, connect, disconnect because I don't know what I'm doing. I tried using CD and writing the entire directory once more. It didn't work. How do I reach this file? Then I tried one more, ls. Multiple folders popped up. I typed CD tools and it opened. There were quick notes, hole mounter and HKIRC24 or Discord group chat. I finally found it. The hole mounter directory. Inside was the trusted devices file I needed to rewrite. List of trusted devices. There were multiple codes inside. I just must add one more. Add 3833 to the list. I connected back to the field kit and pressed free. It worked! The machine started transporting all its files to our computer. We had it! Man, the satisfaction was strong with this one. The game saved, which did have me worried. You know how it is with horror games and their checkpoints. Victor pointed out he got access to the security garage doors. Sarah asked about the number of trucks. At least 200. Victor pointed out that they have a hangar like that and they still didn't air gap the network. What that means is to physically isolate it from other networks, especially the internet. It's a cybersecurity strategy used to maximize security by ensuring no direct or indirect digital connection exists between the air gap network and external systems. What it means, no internet access, no wireless connection, it's only accessible offline. Sarah points out the entire place is held up by duct tape. Victor mentions that he's worked there longer than her. What are they even talking about at this point?
Well, at least I didn't try their own mission presents. They were connected good, which is your friend.
Every single person here, including you, is going to hell? What did I do? I caught the meanest stray in the entire group chat. One thing left. To get the ID from the config. As I was figuring out how to reach it, I encountered something terrifying. This entire time I didn't realize I could look to the left, to look out the window. There was nothing there but this feeling of being watched. Do they know? Am I being tracked? Will I get caught? Why can't I look out the window? I felt even more anxious after the discovery. No matter what, I had to get back to work. LS, CD emulated. Inside was only one file. 3833. It was the local files I copied. I opened it. Inside was automation, presets, config, documentation, container, core modules, logs and patch wizard. The most important was config, so I opened it. And there it was, the LFS ID. I printed it out to have it available at any time. 485-424, got it. Axel said the config is ancient and is curious if the server it's running on KCOM is even handling requests. Sarah decided to ask an employee about it. Supposedly, they were still running. Victor got cautious, asking if the guy got suspicious.
No, but he did ask for my number.
Classic move. To be able to spoof the handshake, we'll need a sheet of active inmate registrations and a schematic of the KCOM server junction. After that, we'd be able to handle the authorization keygen. Victor and Sarah got to work. We received schematic 09 from Victor and a sheet of active inmate registrations AUI 2068 from Sarah. Sarah mentions the worm is good to go. We're set. Victor tells us to let him know when we connect to the server and he'll see whether they catch it. Sarah warns us. They are going to get the trace. Time for the final stretch. I received the last piece of the puzzle from Sarah. The REF number. 80330. I checked my downloads. It was all here. I opened schematic 09 first.
Bruh.
Now, what even is this? Okay, this might look extremely confusing at first, and it is, before you even figure out what you're supposed to do with this. Look, it took me like 20 minutes to know what I needed this for. I went into the AUI folder now. There are 21 prisoners written out in this Excel sheet. There's forenames, surnames, gender, DOB, inmate number, registration number, and duration. Keep this Excel folder in the back of your mind. It is tied to another game in this video. Lastly, I navigated into the keygen file. There are 3 important command options here. Generate authorization token, set up prerequisite arguments, and documentation. Learning from our previous mistakes, we know that we have to start from the bottom to even be able to use the upper commands. So I opened documentation first. The files show us the structure of arguments for all these different server types. From earlier files and the group chat discussion, we know we'll be going for the KCOM one. We need the arguments in this order. First, a server address, second, an unregistered inmate number, and third, an REF input number. Back to the KCOM schematic, I had to write out one of the functioning server addresses. I didn't really know what to do with it though, so I wrote ARG1 space 75696070, and that obviously didn't work. For the time being, I had it printed out for later once I know how to use it. Now the unregistered inmate number. I picked Raja Hamer. Inmate number 292205. Print it. Good. Is it just me or does the printer sound very nice? Like, it's very satisfying. Now we had all three ingredients. All we had to do was write them out after pressing the number 2 command. 75696070, 292205, and lastly 80330. Authorization key successfully generated. All we must do is connect to the field kit once more and run the first command. Error, failed to set up trace fraud. Error, failed to transfer privileges to new guest user. 3833 is now broadcasting its location. Chat, we might be cooked. Trace fraud set up. 3833 is no longer broadcasting its location. Well, this was stressful. We did start getting our location tracked, as Victor said. We couldn't stop it. Even though we did manage to stop it in the end, I don't think that was enough. Also, why is a mega corporation using a password like American on their field kits if they're so freaking important? I sat there in silence for 30 seconds trying to breathe it in. What just happened? Are we safe? Do we continue, and what did we even accomplish? I texted our group chat. Victor confirms our suspicion. The soundtrack slowly encapsulating the dread we are starting to feel. It's creeping in. They're onto us.
Victor, you see anything? Four trucks are firing up. Convoy is moving out without. Where is running? Give it like 30 seconds. I see security running north to the facility. Anything south? Does not look like it. Then we're safe. You have it? Is it working? The Metro Center, if you should have stopped by, right? Yes. It went down for a second, but it's back up. How the hell is the centrifuge still running? Nothing's changing. Give me a sec. How far are the trucks? Can I make a run for it? Oh, just wait. Run where? What about now? Centrifuge is steady at 98%. Then we're screwed. running again. If you're in the server by the time they get Excel or next, it's too risky. We might not get another chance. Shut the f*** up and let's get this over with. All they'll find is an old field kit, wipe discs, and some former decayed jig from the ceiling. You have no rest. They'll think it's some present junkie. I was expecting this. What do you mean, jig from the ceiling? It's my way out. What do you want me to say? No, it's not. Your brain won't be destroyed. They will plug you in the machine. What? You're going to have to cripple your brain! Do you have any power tools? Ethereums? Rocks will be there soon now. There's no easy way to say this, but you will have to find another way. I'm so sorry we f***ed up Excel. But if we're going to try again, then we have to split now. I have no other way out.
What do we do? They're on to us. We can't escape. We can't run. Hanging ourselves won't work. We got caught. Key thoughts must now be acknowledged quickly, or else you risk ending your life with an undesirable conclusion. Potential betrayal. Unorthodox electronics. Shade. Cramped. Discreet. The trucks are coming. Do bias me no. Withdrawal. Not now. Brushless true. Final evidence. The trucks are here. Abject hazard. Convex injury. The drill is f***ing dead.
Give that to me.
Psychological barrier. Hold steady. Penetrate. We've done it. We got rid of the trace. They left me behind and I still saved their lives. I have never felt this much anxiety and panic playing a game ever.
You check his vitals?
Yeah, he's dead.
Where the hell did he get all this hardware?
Look,
What?
brain is screwed.
What the... How did he...
Turn that off.
Let's keep driving. We're almost clear. Are you sure about all this? Okay, think about it. You have a choice between a noose and a screwdriver to the brain. Which one do you pick? The noose. So why didn't he use it? I don't know. Because somebody told him, God damn it. We weren't fast enough. Now they think we're in on it. They're gonna break us. They're gonna put us in the machine forever. We're the only trace. But we weren't in on it. I know. Some people have gone down in 20 years. It was him, but he wasn't alone. Wouldn't we go after the technicians first? The others? There is no trace. What part of this do you not understand? He short-circuited the damn hard drive. This is some random preset junkie we can find. But they almost got the sensitive. Our convoy is the only loose end. You know the fuck is a tracker, right? Doesn't matter. They'll get us anyway. So we prove before they get there. With what? Paraguns? Blood trauma? A fucking screwdriver? We can't even take our helmets off. Driver? No. What? Scared? Since Scorches where they drive, who's gonna do me after I run you over this fucking prick? What about drowning? We can make it to the coast. That's important. The truck of the jet, right? Yeah. So what? So we can jack up the front of the truck and drop it. That's 3 times. Doing 2 tires. Work. Yeah.
Death is more assuring to people of this universe than to be taken into the facility and connected to dead machine. The ending was so chaotic, I ended up not plugging any dialogue into it and just let it play out. And that's what we're going to discuss now. Both Victor and Sarah knew the second I turned on the kit and tried to spoof the handshake that detect my position. They knew, yet Victor still downplayed it and convinced me to go into it. Both are either some technicians or developers inside the facility. As mentioned by Victor, Sarah worked on the interrogation program, and so did he. We worked together to hack a field kit to turn off something called a centrifuge, but all we managed to do was to turn it off for a single second. This entire attempt, our lives at stake, Exo's life lost, for nothing. There are so many questions left unanswered. There is a theory that all these games exist within something called the Tartarus Engine, that something is discussed to be the machine. It's as if everyone was stuck in their own personal nightmare, just like Victor said. We're already in hell. They're all already inside the simulation of the engine itself. People going as far as doing a lobotomy with a screwdriver just to not be connected to the machine again, where they'd be able to extract your knowledge and torture you further. And it's not even like the guards themselves are given a free pass, or that they're above the people not working for the facility. They themselves are prisoners in a way, with helmets they couldn't take off and ending it before becoming the last link to the evidence. It reminds me heavily of Half-Life 2 and the Combine. One huge facility, the Citadel, tortured and oppressed civilians, rebels trying to fight being tracked down in mere seconds, the ability to have your knowledge extracted, and the guards, they're not above. They work to save themselves and their families, the same as you. To understand more of what's going on in S.p.l.i.t, we must play the other games in this series, but before that, there's one more ending. Now to achieve ending 2, instead of typing out psychological barrier, just leave it be, until it fades to black and an image of Axel taking the easy way out appears.
You check his vitals?
Yeah, he's dead.
Where the hell did he get all this hardware?
Come on. I'll be moving.
Let's go.
Centrifuge dropped to 40. Shit, really? I thought it was stable. It is now. They didn't account for the fail-safe. Hey, I thought it was just him. I don't think so. Place had camo on the roof, a field kit, facility hardware. I think there's a crew. You really think one guy can knock down the centrifuge? Even for a second? Then why did he hang himself? Doesn't make sense. I guess they didn't know any better. Anyway, we'll find out soon enough. You think they'll break them? They will.
We actually almost had it in the end. It dropped down all the way to 40 before becoming stable via failsafe. They know there was a team on it, and they'll break Axel. The machine will get all the information it needs. Sarah and Victor will get caught alongside him. The soldiers were surprised that even though he had all this special equipment for it, he chose the easy way out, knowing what awaited him. These were both endings of the game S.p.l.i.t. To understand the facility and the universe we're in, I decided to play every other game in Mike's series. In the Unsorted Horror Collection, there are 5 games, but only 3 of them I found relevant. All 3 of these games are short 15 to 20 minute experiences taking place in the Mike Klubnika universe. We can clearly tell they're all made by him. Dark, gloomy, a lot of metal structures and stories that slowly escalate into intense, anxiety-inducing thrillers. First, let's start out with The Other Side.
Official civil guidelines. You do not talk about going outside. You do not think about going outside. This place is safe from the dangers of the outside. Out there is nothing. I believe that once. Until an explosion unfolded on the surface level. The gold that gathered there, they all saw. And nobody was surprised when they were missing the next day. To keep people in the middle box, one must show power. But they forgot one person. And I thought, alright, it's time to leave.
The game starts out with us standing in front of a door which has some sort of Asian symbols written on it. Putting the symbols into a translator, it comes out as pump room. So the mystery of where they're keeping your mom could very easily be solved just by walking through this door. In front of me was a huge metal doorway with a red X painted on it. I approached the computer and touched its keyboard. It immediately booted up before failing. I clicked everywhere, but I couldn't really figure out how to take it. I looked around for a bit, looked at the screen, and then directly next to me. It's quite literally right here. How did I even miss it? I unbuckled it, picked it up, and placed it inside. Now let's run the diagnostics again. The diagnostics report came out perfect. Both were secure, oil and coolant level were okay, battery was inserted and charged, drill bit was fine as well. By pressing another button, we started up the drill. In the meantime, I looked around the room, opening a suitcase with tools before I heard the drill getting jammed. This is the core of this game. Insert the drill, wait, drill gets jammed, fix, continue. Simple as that. Let's talk about our style for a second. What we can notice about Mike Klubnika and his style of games is that they're all very similar. All these games except S.p.l.i.t, I mean S.p.l.i.t as well, but they all take place in small rusty metal rooms. The rusty metal part doesn't apply to S.p.l.i.t. All games require you to complete certain tasks in these rooms, usually working with a very old computer, and all games have a twist. You're working and working and working, suddenly you have a time limit. Hurry up or you'll get either caught or killed. Is the other side already taking place in the facility? This take hasn't been actually confirmed by Mike or his games, but I'm just going to assume it is in the same universe, just so it makes more sense. I kept turning around, expecting something or someone to be behind me, waiting in that dark hallway. The drill finally did a full cycle around the door, but wait, there's more. Layer 1 of 2 drilled. Press any key to start drilling layer 2. We aren't done yet. Final layer will activate shelter security measures. Reminder, there is no coming back. Press any key to confirm. And so it begins. Once we start up the drill for a second cycle, we'll have to work quickly. I put in the 5 keys and started it up for one last time. The very second the drill started, power went out. Once it got back up, it was accompanied by sirens and a red light. Security arrives in 5 minutes. It was going as expected. In the first quarter, the drill stopped. I had to charge the battery and replace the drill bit. It's going to get stressful, I can already feel it. A minute later, it stopped again. Oil level and coolant levels. Unscrew the top, pour it in, I can't even tell. Closed it and screwed it back on. Done. Let's go. What? I didn't actually do it! 3 minutes, oh my god. Unscrew it, open, now pour it in. Finally! Started up, 2 minutes left. One more error, but this time, literally everything that could went wrong with it. With 2 minutes left, I didn't know if I'd be able to do it in time. Battery first, charge it, drill bit second, insert it, nice. Unscrew the top, open, pour the liquids in, close, screw it back on. Just in time for the battery to charge, place it back in, start. There was only 1 minute left on the clock. The screen blacked out again. Was I caught? I didn't make it, did I? The wall finally fell. The huge piece of metal laying on the ground outside, and this relaxing, relieving music started playing alongside us, leaving the facility. It was beautiful. The Windows XP background wallpaper in front of me with the sun, green grass, trees, and this one single dark, shadowy tree in front of us. Behind us stood the facility, a gigantic metal structure at least 10 meters tall and almost infinitely long. It fits the description. A huge metal hangar which could easily fit 200 trucks. I walked away from it towards the tree. I tried ignoring the tree at first and just walking away, but you eventually reach an invisible wall, so it forces you to come back. On the tree was a letter. This place isn't what it written on it. The second you put it down, an intense music starts playing and in the distance appears a huge spider-like creature. It starts walking towards you extremely fast, hindering any chance of escape. I kept turning around trying to escape, but it was kinda useless. The creature approached me and title card. The other side. Skipping the credits. We appear at this still screen of the place we just breached. Maybe it isn't worth it leaving the facility after all. The previous escapee facing the same outcome as I did. Killed by one of the gigantic upscaled spiders with 5 heads or whatever those are. The facility could be shielding humanity from these eldritch horror entities, or it's the one creating them. Playing the other games, we gain a lot more sense over what really goes on down here, and a lot more questions as well. The carbon steel main menu, like all of Mike's games, is very straightforward. Start, continue, or exit. Shuttle 4. Passport. Shuttle 8. You. I'm not going to make the reference. I've seen too many YouTubers pulling it already. I turned around. Before me was a long line heading into darkness, with fences by the side. I guess I was the last in line. I slid my papers to him. Shuttle 1. The game turned to black as I suddenly appeared in a cart, being driven by a bald man at the front. He transported me to a metal bridge, leading to a door with a camera marked with a number 52. This whole intro feels oddly similar to Half-Life, as I've already pointed it out. I've seen Pyrocynical make that remark, but that was after I finished this game, where I already had the same thought in mind. And don't tell me I'm not right, it's literally a 1-to-1. I thanked the bus driver, got out and walked in front of the door, turning around as the cart drove off. Walking to the door, you get it to open by looking directly into the camera above. We were now in another room, separated by one-way dark glass, my every move being watched. Inside the shuttle was a man welding something to the floor. I couldn't really approach him or make out what this room even looked like. In front of me was once again an old computer. This one worked a little different compared to the ones in other games. There was an email folder, a disk and an eject function, and a wastebasket. I opened my emails. There was one from an anonymous source titled, "Hello, date 4th of September 98. Now, I am very uncertain regarding the age. If you've watched Pyrocynical's video, he said this year was 1998, but now in the present, where we have more knowledge regarding Mike's universe, especially after S.p.l.i.t, we know that game takes part in the year 2082. Similar computers, similar hardware, this could very much be 2098. Not 1998. And it would make even more sense than to believe that computers didn't advance a bit for 100 years in a universe that's advanced in all other aspects. So, the 4th of September 2098 is the year Carbon Steel takes place, in my opinion. The email is a greeting from some unnamed research team. It says that I will be carrying out the main sample pool from the pit, which hosts a multitude of pressure-treated organisms. After the pull is completed, I will hand the data over to the team. They say the job will only take a total of 3 days, and that they are still setting up the equipment. They tell me to enter my holding cell. I left the computer and entered my holding cell like the good boy that I am. Inside was a very dirty toilet, a mirror that wasn't mirroring, and a bed. I went to sleep waiting for my first task. As I fell asleep, I started dreaming of a blue sky with clouds eerily similar to the one in the other side. Now this is my theory. To be able to dream of the blue sky and clouds, you'd have to be able to even imagine it, right? And to be able to imagine something, you'd have to see it first. In the game The Other Side, in the intro, the character we're playing as there tells us a story of a breach that happened at the facility, and where all the people who've seen the outside ended up going missing, disappearing without a trace except him. Could we be one of the people who have seen the blue sky, who have seen how beautiful the outside truly is, and that is why we've been transported to the shadow, this prison cell, to work by ourselves, isolated from other people? The alarm rang as the door to our holding cell suddenly opened. My workspace was ready. I stepped outside. The whole room was now lit up. There was an extra screen on my table called Carrier Vessel Console. Next to my computer were 4 floppy disks, green, yellow, blue and red. I put the green one into my computer. This one was called Delta_subclass_1. There were different weights and amounts of gases or chemical levels given to each weight class. Going to the next page, we could find subclass 2 and 3, again with different numbers given to each weight. The yellow one was the Charlie class, blue one was beta, and finally red was alpha. On the left was a table with another computer. This one was the anesthesia formulator. I held the lever next to another carrier vessel console to initiate ascent. Above this lever was a logo, an empty circle with a dot inside. Around the perimeter of the circle were 5 umbrella-shaped symbols. Remember this logo. The ascent slowly began. On the screen I was already shown all the information I need about the something I was bringing up from the pit. The huge metal container finally reached me. In the middle of it was a hole. As I approached it, I started hearing noises from inside it. It was scratching and banging on the walls of this container. I went back to my computer. Its weight is 169. The depth from which it was brought up from was minus 1172 meters. I took out the Alpha class disc and looked for its weight and subclass. The 169 weight creature needed 98 nitrous, 1 ISO and 1 SIVO, or whatever it is. On the side of the room I could find the anesthesia containers. I opened it, took one out and placed it in the formulator first. I selected nitrous and pulled down the red lever until it reached 98. Then sevoflurane to 1 and isoflurane as well. Once you're done, you just press the check mark and it lets you take it. I armed the canister holder, placed the anesthesia container inside and pressed start. After emptying the canister inside the container, the banging stopped completely. As the research team asked me to, I needed to extract the specimen. By pressing this red button, it switches from anesthesia containers to these bigger cells with a ball inside. I armed it, started the machine and waited. The ball inside the container now had a red glow reminiscent of a heart, as if we pulled out its life energy out of the creature inside. And you know what? We've actually might have done exactly that. The door now had its hatch open, waiting for me to deliver the cell. After that, my holding cell door opened, waiting for me to get back inside. We woke up quickly tonight, with no door bust to wake us up either. As I stepped outside of my cell, I noticed the container has been breached. There were 4 eyeballs staring at me, a wall of flesh breaking out of the metal cell. I approached it and as I did, I woke up again. It was just a nightmare. A premonition. Doubts creeping into my character's head. What if we mess up? This whole ordeal is a life or death situation at this point. On day 2 we had another piece of new equipment, a triple monitor setup with 2 levels and a switch with 4 levels. All that I'm missing at this point is a Twitch account and I could easily start streaming. I mean, look at this setup. Triple monitors, I don't even have that. As I pulled the red lever, I could pull out another piece of equipment. It was a laser of some sorts. As I pulled the laser out, beneath it was a hidden floppy disk. I inserted it into the computer. It was a readme text file. A message for us. Read carefully. The contents of this disk will be erased once ejected.
We have got it, but I am the engineer. I overhear the conversation from your researchers. You are in trouble. I am working on getting you out. I have taken one of your capsules. You will find it tomorrow marked with an anchor. Give it to your researchers once you are gone. I will not hang around for long. It is either tomorrow or never. See you soon.
We're somehow in trouble and this unnamed engineer is trying to break us out. Why would he want to help us if it doesn't concern him? I did have my doubts. So tomorrow will be our last chance to escape, I guess. I ejected the disk and investigated my email. Inside there were 2 new emails that I haven't read yet. EP and good work. I clicked on good work first. They applaud me and that the data we pulled exceeded their expectations. They mention this laboratory hasn't been in use for decades. They tell me that the engineer has finished setting up an old surface analyzer. I can use it to pinpoint exact data class measurements from otherwise unknown life forms. We have big plans for you. Oh, that sounds amazing. So now I'll be dealing with unknown life forms as well. Stellar! I walked to the lever and pulled out the new unknown specimen from the pit. The new creature we've pulled out has a threat level 3. He's banging and scratching on the metal cell walls as well. I took out the laser and pointed it inside to identify the monster. After this meter filled up, I inserted it inside the computer. The 3 monitors powered up, revealing something horrifying. It looks like a bunch of tentacles with no body or head floating inside the metal cell. Our objective is to land the green lights inside the Renault logo. The monster was restless. It kept banging and making noises from inside its container. I completed layer 1 and switched to layer 2. This looked like some mineral stones in a cave or quartz. I have no clue what correlation this had or has with the monster. I completed all 4 layers and identified the creature as a Delta subclass 1. I gave it its dose of anesthesia and extracted it for the research team. Off to day 3 now. Day 3 started off with me finding a new tool. A fabricator, charge level 20 of 20. You know what? I'm not even going to say what happened to me on day 3. I'll just show you instead. I didn't read the email that the team sent me, so I was completely clueless what I was faced with on day 3. What that meant is that I'll just show you. First, the second I started the pull, I was faced with a new vessel condition indicator. This new specimen I was pulling up was from the depth of minus 5,400 meters, and his threat level was level 5. This meant the second he got pulled up, he would start not just scratching and beating the cell, but actually damaging it. I thought this was a race against time. I took out the laser and immediately got to work cracking down the layers. I solved it in mere seconds, booted up the computer and looked for beta subclass 2 numbers for weight 138. Took the anesthesia canister, booted it up, and before I could even put the numbers in, the monster broke through. There was no way. I woke up, starting the day again from the start. I thought this was just a nightmare. The thing is, it wasn't. I just kept failing. I failed again and again. And on the 4th attempt, I finally knew what I had to do. I used the fabricator to repair the cell, put in the correct numbers for the anesthesia, and finally put the creature to sleep. It was time to use the data cell marked with an X. Let's trust the engineer. I extracted the monster and gave it to the team. I waited. The data cell exploded, destroying the entire lab in the process and enabling us to leave our cell. At the end of the sky bridge was the cart with the engineer driving it. I hopped on and left. That was one ending. Ending 2, where we hand him over the data cell that wasn't armed by the engineer, goes like this. The next day, I walked to the computer and read the last email titled, "Goodbye." We just finished reviewing the final data pool. Indeed, your work has proven to us that the risk is justified by the benefits. Excellent work. However, compared to ourselves, the life forms we have previously studied are significantly less advanced. We believe that a human body would yield far more interesting results. You will have the honor of being the first pressure-treated human. Please remain seated. What? Well, they used anesthesia on us, put us to sleep, and did whatever we have done to all the creatures before. Karma caught up to us. For what purpose remains unknown. All of Mike's games end with your character's ultimate demise, it seems. Even though I'll choose to believe the ending 1 to be canon in this case, let's have at least one of our characters survive. Moving on to the final entry. The game, which is speculated to be about the machine referenced in S.p.l.i.t, the Tartarus Engine. The description of this game says, Tartarus Engine is a short horror game about a monumental computer designed for imitating eternal torment. You play as a technician in a group of people that set out to tap into a vulnerability in the machine. The main menu screen of the Tartarus Engine is the Tartarus Engine itself.
As far beneath heads as even is above earth, construction began on the foundation of a great computer. Decades later, the first reality of eternal torment was imitated by the machine. The year is 2009, and the Tartarus Engine was created.
A game ago, we were concerned with the year 98 not being 1998 but 2098, but this time the Tartarus Engine clearly stating that the year this game takes place in is 2009. I think we might have to backtrack on that. Why are the computers 80 years from now still the same? As I said, playing more of these games does explain the universe a bit, but creates even more questions.
Time passed. To prevent workers from exploiting the machine for their personal gain, multiple protective measures were set in place. For technicians devise a plan and execute it into the night. There is no such thing as absolute security.
By the way, before the game starts, I just want to warn you, it uses a lot of fake AI voice acting. That wasn't edited or added by me. It's also what inspired me to use it in this vid, as it's the canon voice I have associated with characters in Mike's games, because of him. The game starts out with us in an elevator with two other technicians. They're discussing their plans of using the engine for their own good, transferring their consciousness to whatever place they can, trying to escape the reality of their lives inside an endless simulation. One of the technicians asked me what time it was.
Harper, what's the time?
By pressing tab, I brought up my watch. Time is going to be important in this game once again, as all of this must be executed before midnight.
Have enough time. Steve is going to pull the power at midnight.
At midnight, the fourth technician will reset the power in his facility, where the engine will automatically reboot and inmates connected to it will be thrown into a stasis. We'll use this moment to power up our own engine. As the technicians were discussing their plans, the elevator suddenly stopped and a strange man wearing a shirt and tie got into the elevator. The man is probably of a higher standing in his facility as he questions our motives.
Hey boys, we're free of you ordered it. We got problem, sir. And what is it?
And possibly one of the funniest but also intense moments of this game happens right now.
The voice. It's a hard drive. Shit. You don't have literally made any name other than hard drive.
One dude is looking at the floor, the other guy out here taking 10 minutes to come up with a response, and I already know the guy is not buying this. He ends up hopping off in 10 seconds, so hopefully he doesn't care much.
You don't have literally made any name other than hard drive.
Yeah, well, maybe instead of looking down at the floor, you could have come up with something better, smartass. Both technicians end up getting off a few seconds later. Our goal is different from theirs. We need to go down into the lower level and insert the hard drive device into partition 11. We've finally reached our floor. What I saw before me is straight out of a dystopian nightmare. In front of me were numerous inmates strapped in chairs. From their heads, legs, arms, or their torso, it was all strapped down. In front of their heads was a device reminiscent of a telescope. This is the machine. And this is the year 2009. S.p.l.i.t takes place in the year 2082. Whatever horrors they were able to create in 80 years, I don't even want to know. At the end of this room was a layout. Where we came from was the inmate housing. Between it goes the inmate distribution passage. We were standing at the floor splitter, having to go left towards the partition input maintenance access. I went left, opened the door towards the maintenance access and walked down the flight of stairs. I hopped on this cart, started it up and moved towards partition 11. This all is the inside of the Tartarus Engine. It is huge. There are thousands of cables and pumps, and the length and height of this whole thing is extraterrestrial. I just can't imagine human beings building this. We had 10 minutes left on the clock. After reaching partition 11, I took out the drill and opened the hatch. Next, I opened it with a crowbar and implanted the virus inside. Afterwards, I threw out their roots and implanted ours, connected it, and left just in time. As I was returning up by the elevator, the power went out and rebooted. Everything was going as planned. Inside the room was our very own Tartarus Engine. I sat down in one of the chairs as the technician plugged us in, testing the machine out. We are about to experience the machine in its full glory. At first I thought the counter was our timer, but it actually was a counter of how many potatoes we had to peel before being released from this engine.
I don't understand. They managed to translate the nature of consciousness into mathematics and recreated a digital interface, yet they use it for this. What even is this?
The technician has a good point. They can translate human consciousness using numbers and codes, and they use it as a prison. A prison where the person must sit for years, which translates to seconds in real time, peeling potatoes for all eternity. This is also where the list of inmates comes into play. All of those people written out in that sheet were connected to the engine, having to live out their sentences in a transformed reality. Some even carrying 60+ year sentences, all the while it's only a few days here on Earth. inmates are basically put in a Tsukuyomi Genjutsu for however long the guards please. A few seconds later, it pulled us out. The technician set up another preset we were planning on escaping to, a place where we would have all the time in the world to craft our perfect presets. Then came probably the funniest question and answer in all of Mike's games.
How long did it take you to write the code? I did not write it, I found it.
And then the machine starts up, I'd be in that chair squirming, shaking, screaming. Bro, you did not just say you found it, this guy probably just downloaded it off of GitHub and ran it as if he even knew what it was going to do. Yep, we're done.
Did it work? Shit, it said, right where each storm keyboard. Why, I can't move. I forgot to disable the order.
The machine started pulling us out layer by layer.
It's pulling us out. It's pulling us out layer by layer. What the hell did you...
Remember, there's like a million layers.
How many layers deep are we?
Not just that, all this glitching in and out of the machine can go on for years. Yet it's only mere seconds on planet Earth. What if no one even finds us to let us go? And if they do, what then? What are the consequences of our actions? It's kind of funny. The scariest, most horrifying ending of all these games ended being in the one game where I've laughed the most playing it. And one last thing I want to point out. The Chinese language in the universe. Both in The Other Side and in Control Room Alpha, we can find a letter written in Chinese with the Foundation's logo. It's no coincidence. If we go on the wiki to find this logo, I don't even know how, but they say the Foundation is in Russia? Soviet Russia to be exact. How they found that connection, I don't know. It's easier to assume it's in China. Why would Russians put Chinese markings on their doors? Or Chinese letters? It doesn't